My name's Adam Monaco and I'm the Financial Controller for Hi-Tech Oils. With our national capacity, we can now service Australian companies nationwide. Of late, we have now expanded into the New Zealand market. Here at Hi-Tech Oils, we receive premium base oils and premium additive packs. Together, with our highly trained staff, we manufacture over 500 premium quality products. Hi-Tech Oils is Australian made and Australian owned.
To some, it's just a hunk of metal. A convenience made to get you from point A to point B. Basic transportation, that's all. So who cares about horsepower, torque, compression ratios, and chrome Kragers? Yeah, we do too. Summit Racing Equipment, the world's speed shop. SummitRacing.com.
On today's show, we head back to Calder Park Raceway in Melbourne for our continued coverage of the 51st Andorra Australian Nationals, featuring the Summit Racing Equipment Sportsman Series. And later in the show, we wind the clock back to last year's action-packed Phillip Island 101, doubling as the opening round of the CAMS Australian Endurance Championship. This is Speedweek.
Hello and welcome to the 51st Australian Nationals out of Calder Park Raceway this weekend. We're here for the Summit Racing Equipment Sportsman Series featuring Group 2 Index Racing, Group 3 Dial Your Own and Group 4 Heads Up Racing. Joining me in commentary is Aaron Hambridge. Welcome to you.
Yeah, thanks, Jace. Great to be here. The weather's great. The crowd's starting to build. Should be a great day of racing.
We've got a fantastic afternoon of racing coming your way. Kicking off today's show is the Dial Your Own category of top sportsman, and so far this season, the racing has been fierce. Let's take a look at the Top Sportsman Championship leaderboard, courtesy of Hi-Tech Oils. Jason Stairs leads the championship on 300 points maximum, 30 points clear of Matt Forbes, followed by Darren Saliba, Paul Russo, Michael Braggs, Frank Oliveri, Greg Damiani, and Garatha, who rounds out the top 8. Well, here we go from semi-finals onwards for top sportsmen. We've got Darren Nichelle taking on Michael Braggs. And Aaron, a couple of really nice late model bodied cars.
Yeah, Jace, as you mentioned, both these cars are very late model, very pro-stock looking, makes them nice and aerodynamic. If you have a look here on the details on both these cars, they've both got big block Chev power plants. If you go through the list of most of the cars in Top Sportsman today, that is a popular choice of engine.
Well, the cars, of course, we're looking at Darren Nichelle and Michael Braggs. Braggs in the orange Chev Cavalier, 555 cubic inches. I mean, when you talk about big blocks, 615 cubes on board for Nichelle, 555 for Braggs. That's some big engines.
Yeah, definitely. They build them big, they make the power easily, and the maintenance is reasonably low for an engine like that. The power level they need to run the numbers they have to, the bigger the engine, the easier it does it. And yeah, like I said, it keeps the cost down, makes the cars a lot easier to run.
Number 2 and number 4 qualifier right here doing battle in the semi-finals. And of course, this is run over a quarter of a mile. One of our categories in the Group 3 ranks that will be running over a quarter of a mile here this weekend. Great reactions from both guys, very, very similar indeed. And it's going to be Nichelle. It will be Darren Nichelle who will move through to the final. 7:59 on a 7:45 dial-in. Plenty of attitude from the car of Michael Braggs.
Yeah, Nichelle gets way in front there, and he must realise he's got this race, and he backs off and saves his index there. He only goes 7.59 on a 45 dial in, so nice and soft. He's won that race easily, and he knew it, so he shut it off early.
Well, the next pairing coming up, Glenn Henley here out of Mount Gambier, South Australia, with this little Datsun 1200 Ute, and Darren Saliba with the Pontiac GTO. Talking about big blocks, you're not going to jam one into that little Datsun 1200.
Nah, Jace, definitely not. Big block Chevs generally are the popular choice for this class, but in a little Datsun Ute, you're never going to fit that in there. So he's chosen the LS route, which is becoming very, very popular engine. It's the new small block Chevy of the world. It's going to be the most popular engine in many forms of motorsport for years to come. And that just so happens to fit in the Datsun 1200 Ute pretty good.
You're going to love the number plate there. Why not? And why not indeed when you can jam a 445 cube LS into this little Datsun Ute. So, number 1 taking on number 11. Number 1 was Darren Saliba in that Pontiac, of course, 598 cubic inches of Chevrolet on board. And we know that Saliba is very sharp on the lights traditionally.
Yeah, Henley a little too sharp on that occasion.
Went out with a .003, just 3/1000ths of a second red light. And it'll be Saliba who gets to the finish line first anyway. 7:34. He runs through nicely to take the win. Well, we will in fact see Battle of the Darrens. Darren Nichelle will take on Darren Saliba in the final as we check out some of our Garmin Verb replays. Coming up next is Super Comp, which is a combined category of super stock and competition, and the points battle is very tight at the top in both classes. Craig Geddes currently leads the competition points on 170, 55 clear of David DeQuinn, followed by Nathan Coles, Steve Athens, Shane Baxter, Mark Newman and Cameron Ambisi. Whilst in super stock, Kim Fardella and Graham Sims are equal first on 190 points, followed by Jamie Chasty on 160, then Luis Fingos, Tom Dimitropoulos, Darren Parker, Les Hines and Daniel Camilleri rounding out the field. Continuing along now, we've got Super Comp about to come our way now. Aaron, of course, run over 1,000-foot distance here at Calder Park.
Yeah, these cars are really fast. As we spoke about just before with Top Sportsman, most of those guys are based around large cubic inch big block Chevys. It's not the case here in Super Comp. Most of the engines here are very small cubic inch, high revving, small block based engines, whether it be Chev, Ford, Mopar or Holden. Very different. They're pound per cubic inch most of the classes, so for the size of your engine, it affects the weight of your car. The bigger the engine, the heavier it has to be. And it's been proven year after year that a lighter car with a small engine generally is a better combination in Super Comp.
Well, we see that we've got Jamie Chasty up against Michael Caricio out of Fulham Gardens in South Australia. The good old Aussie Holden Commodore taking on the Firebird this time. And cubic inch-wise, you're right, 308 cubes on board for the Firebird and 337 on board for the Commodore.
Yeah, listen to the RPM on the start line there.
Chasty certainly straps a good reaction that gives him that slight advantage as he runs down, but of course it is all about indexing and making sure that you try not to go under. We see there 829 for Caricio and a 787 for Jamie Chasty.
Yeah, it's definitely about protecting that index. If you go under it, the next time you come out, that index gets lower, makes your job a lot harder. So basically, you just got to beat the guy next to you by the absolute bare minimum, save that index, and you'll go around.
Next pair, we've got Darren Parker out of Victoria up against Les Hines, also Victorian. Now, Les Hines, man, he's been running this AC Delco GTO for a number of years. I mean, when I think back, as has Darren Parker for that matter, not this car, but he's certainly been around the whole super stock, super comp field for a long, long time. Les Hines qualified number 9. Darren Parker qualified himself number 7 in B Aldred Production Automatic.
Yeah, Parker's car there, very much and very basically, it's just an Australian Pro stock car. Beautiful looking car, very clean, nice lines. It'd be definitely a fast car, that's for sure.
We hear the rev starting to rise. They're into stage. Both cars come away a .143 reaction to Parker, a .186 to Les Hines. Not a lot in it, but it will be Parker that moves on through to the final. He goes on through for a 6.23, and that will secure himself a spot in the final.
Yeah, you watch Les Heinz's car, they leave the start line. You actually notice those cars are spinning the tyres off the start line. They do that on purpose. It just helps them get wheel speed. If they grip dead to the track, it pulls the motor down and really slows the car down.
Well, we will in fact see Jamie Chasty take on Darren Parker in the final. Next up here at Calder Park is Supercharged Outlaws, who are running over 1,000 foot this weekend. Let's have a look at the points, courtesy of High Tech Oils. Justin Russell is leading on the maximum cap of 300 points, 30 clear of Mark Hunt, followed closely by Doina Day in third, then reigning champ Adam Murrahy, Jason Kiley, Mark Zouch, Alan Mankoff and Craig Gerdes. Well, Supercharged Outlaws this weekend being run also over that 1,000-foot distance, as we see right there Adam Murrahy about to take on Ryan Van Dyke.
Yeah, Ryan Van Dyke, second generation racer. His father Hans used to run Superstock and Pro Stock from memory many years ago. I remember watching him at the old Eastern Creek racetrack when I was a kid, so good to see that second generation of racers coming through.
We have got number 1 and number 2 qualifier about to square off, and just seeing the shots there from Ryan Van Dyke. Obviously, second generation racer. Hans Van Dyke used to run the Sedan back in Pro Stock, but his young boy choosing to go with the open wheel format here in Supercharged Outlaws. Dial your own once again. So it's really about making sure that you get as close to your dial-in as possible.
Yeah, this is a class where it's quite tricky. These things are very overpowered, as most open cars are for their tyre and their design. So yeah, they're a lot trickier than, say, some of the modified cars where they're very consistent, aspirated, the power level's a lot lower, they handle the racetrack a lot easier. But these things are a lot wider, you've got to really drive them a lot harder. And it's a lot trickier to try and guess, or not guess, but calculate that dial in so you can try and get past the guy in the other lane.
Well, Murrahy out of the NT this weekend. He is the current Australian champion for Supercharged Outlaws, taking on the young gun. As we get ready once again for the start. Oh, would you believe the defending champ is red lit, negative 0.5, 159 red light. Ryan Van Dyke will go to the final with a good 0.75 off the tree and runs through 6.033.
Yeah, he staged the car deep there. He's put it in a long way and obviously a bit distracted, which is unusual from a top class racer like Adam Murray.
So coming up next, we're going to see Justin Russell out of Victoria, the 67 Camaro Oldsmobile, 526 on board, the ex-Lucky Baleri top door slammer. And he's just going to roll forward and accept the green to take the win of this race. So we will see Ryan Van Dyke and Justin Russell battle it out in the final later on. But coming up next is the Summit Racing Equipment Junior Dragsters, the stars of the future, battling it out on the 8th mile. And leading the way, courtesy of our High Tech Oils leaderboard, is Joel Burns on 290, a commanding 100 points ahead of Luke Versma, followed closely by Daniel Carranza, Sarah Donnelly, Jasmine Slammer, Alana Cope, Madison Brown and Bradley Bishop. Well, Jasmine Slammer and Mikey Naylor, both out of WA, are going to move into round 4, effectively the semi-finals right now. And Aaron, we've got to say, Junior Dragsters, they've evolved so much over the years.
Yeah, well, look at these guys, both from WA, from the other side of the country. To see a Group 1 racer with a major sponsor travel to the other side of the country to come to a major race is one thing, but to see these Junior Dragster guys come all the way over here, that's unreal. That's very committed to the sport, that's for sure.
Well, as I said, they've had to go through 3 rounds previous to this, so they've earned their way into the semis. As we go green, we see that it is young Jasmine Slammer who gets the better of the 2 reactions. And of course, they run over this 8th mile, and we see Slammer take the win, 8.18 on an 8.12 dial-in.
So if you actually notice there, by technical terms, she was beaten on the racetrack, but she won that race on the start line. So she wasn't as close to her dial-in as what the other car was, but she won it by just cutting a killer light.
Victorian versus South Aussie now. We've got Jake Boreas taking on Kelly Donnelly. So Donnelly, of course, across from SA this weekend. And again, to be able to go through all these rounds, it's a lot of pressure on these young guys. Of course, age from anywhere between, 8 and 16 effectively, that can run in Junior Dragster.
No, it's great to see these kids. The job they do, that some of these kids do in these cars is unreal. You watch them, they're looking across, they're jumping on the brakes. These guys race like seasoned racers in modified, for argument's sake. They're in Dragsters. They do a great job, a lot of these kids. It's really good to see.
Well, Jake qualified number 10, Kelly qualified number 8. So on paper, they're very similar as far as their ETs.
Yeah, they're both what they consider an A junior dragster. So these are the fastest cars in the categories. We have 3 categories, A, B, and C. And it's just speed related due to the age of the kids.
Heads up race, 810, the dial in both sides of the track. It will be a race to the half track or the 8th mile indicators. And we see right there, it's going to be Jake Berrius goes 813 on an 810 for the win. Up next here at the 51st Australian Nationals is the only fixed index racing category of Supergas. Graham Spencer and Colin Griffin lead the way equally on 140, 20 clear of Daryl Stephen. 40 points further behind is Adrian McGroddy, Joe Catanzariti, Warren Bull and Warren Smith, with Jeff Romeo rounding out the top 8. A little bit of Pro Tree action coming our way with Supergas. Of course, we've got Adrian McGroddy out of Mill Park, Victoria, in this VP Commodore. Now, he's on a solo, Aaron. I think he can either choose to back it out like Justin Russell, or he can run it down the strip.
No, well, listen, he's guaranteed the win here, so the smart thing to do in Supergas, because it's such a fiercely contested bracket, run the car out, see what it's going to run. It's all about consistency. I know I say that so many times during these shows, but 990 racing, you have to run as close to 990 as you can. So he's going to test it out here, see how close he is for the next round.
Wow, 995 on a 990 index, so fixed index at 990, and he runs 995, puts himself into a good spot. Now, Daryl Stevens take on Frank Fontanelli.
Daryl Stevens got to be one of the longest running competitors in Supergas that I know of, and he's been very successful at it too.
Well, multi-time Australian champion for Group 4 Supergas, and he's in fact the current champion, Daryl Stephen. Frank Fontanelli in beside him with his Pontiac racing team. Beautifully prepped Firebird. And as we see with these cars, 400 cubes on board for Fontanelli, 351 cubes on board for Daryl Stephen. That 990 heads up, one flash of the amber and you're away. You're used to that, Aaron.
Yeah, one flash and off you go. That's the easiest way for me to race. The multiple lights on the tree can be a bit tricky, but yeah, this is easy. It makes it a lot easier to cut a light, but definitely not an easy category to race in.
Well, it looks like Fontanelli is in fact red lit. He's left a cherry on the bottom of the tree. It will be Stephen who goes through 992 on that 990 index.
Yeah, Stephen doing it for all the Ford fans out there too. If you look in this class this weekend, he's the only Ford in the bracket. Everybody else has got a Chev on board.
Just checking out Garmin Verb replays from all the angles. Loving Supergas here at the Australian Nationals. There's still plenty more to come right here from the 51st Australian Nationals at Calder Park, and we'll be back with more right after this.
You want more time to do this, so you can get this. You provide the skill and sweat. Count on Summit Racing for the rest. We carry more parts than anyone else. You can reach us anytime, 24/7. And we ship around the world fast. Summit Racing Equipment, the world's speed shop. SummitRacing.com.
Welcome back to Calder Park Raceway in Melbourne's northwest as we continue our coverage from the Andra 51st Australian Nationals. We're about to continue our semi-finals action with Super Street, and here are the points heading into this round courtesy of High Tech Oils. Chris Tatchell is holding a slender lead in the Super Street standings on 200 points, 20 clear of Alan Hutchin on 180, with Jacob Mills 10 points further back, followed by Simon Lazaro in 4th. Anton Grigina in 5th with Tim Bryan, Paul Garbellini and Anthony Barbara rounding out the top 8 equal on 100 points. Wow, car with plenty of history now. It is going to be Graham Cooper in the Bricklayer, taking on Lisa Sherry in this very, very noticeable and notable VN Commodore.
Yeah, Cooper in the other lane. I'm 34 now. I've been in drag racing, I guess, for about 20 years. Now, when I first started going to the drags, I remember my dad telling me that that car had been around forever. So another 20 years on top of that, this car has done more laps and almost any other race car in Australia, I'd like to take a guess at.
Aaron, I'd hate to think at how many Christmas trees and how many trophies and how many wins, in fact, Graham Cooper's had, because he has been around well over 30 years with his car. In fact, put it in a container and took it to America at one time, raced it over there, and then brought it back. We now see it with Club Rego plates on it, so it's a regular street deal. Let's have a look who gets out the better of the two. Of course, Graham Cooper, an 010 light, chases down Lisa Sherry and will take the win, 10.56 on a 10.51. They say you can't teach a dog, an old dog, new tricks, but Graham Cooper, he doesn't need to be taught any. He knows them all.
He's got this car and this class down pat. 010 reaction time. Doesn't get a whole lot better than that. He, at this point of his life and with that car, he's part of the car now. He's no longer, he just gets in and it just happens naturally.
That's Chris Norton right there in the Cortina, taking on Anton Krajina out of Victoria in the HJ Holden. So good old Ford versus Holden battle about to come our way. And good to see here we're in the semis. We're not seeing, you know, a lot of the quick cars. Of course, Super Street, it is all about the grassroots, the entry level. And that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, for everyone out there who wants to come drag racing for the first time, if you've got a car that's, 12, 11 seconds, you can come out, you can join in, you can be part of the show. It's entry level, but it's just as much fun as any other bracket.
What a race. It'll be Norton that will take the win there, but geez, Anton Krajina really took it to him. So Chris Norton will take the win there. He goes through 10.98 on a 10.99. He does break out, but it's the first or worst rule and red light from Krajina. The Summit Racing Equipment Sportsman Series now moves into two-wheeled action with modified bike. And the championship fight has been very tight right from the outset. Let's have a look, all thanks to High-Tech Oils. It's a three-way fight for the championship between Matt Lyle, Gordon Crawford and current champ Brian Finn, with Leif Darrick in fourth, Gavin Don't in fifth, followed by Darren McGregor, Colin Sainsbury and Brian Moore. Modified bike is where we're headed, and of course we're seeing number 8 take on number 6, Gordon Crawford, across from Western Australia on this Harley V-Rod Destroyer, taking on Gavin Don't out of Victoria on the Suzuki. So of course the long swing arm on that Suzuki. Of course no slick, no wheelie bar traditionally with these longer wheelbase style bikes. These Destroyers, however, they are a tough bit of gear.
Yeah, as far as I know, these are basically a factory-produced race bike.
I think you can get them to run, into the 10s very, very easily, if not just straight off the box. There used to be a series called the V-Rod Destroyer series that was run. Hey, very unusual situation there. We see Crawford get out with a .166 reaction, and Gavin Don't. He's got problems back on the start line. He did react, 3 seconds or so to get him off the start line. He does get a time, but it'll be Crawford who will take the win, 10.00 on a 9.85 dial-in.
Yeah, definitely some kind of technical problem there for Don't. And Crawford got away with that one. He didn't cut the best reaction time, and last round Gavin Don't cut an awesome reaction time. So, he got away with a win there, and straight into the final.
So as our next pair coming our way, another of the Destroyers out of SA, Denny Rickard. He'll be taking on Brendan Sanders out of Victoria with the FZ6 Yamaha 600cc's. Takes on 1340cc's, bit like a big block versus real small block.
Yeah, it's actually more like a big block compared to a 4-cylinder. The Yamaha there with less than half the size of the engine in the Harley.
Well, it's all about dial your own. Of course, it is equalised out on the start line. And that's why they've been through qualifying. The Yamaha rider Sanders puts the thing right up on the two-step, rides it out with a .166 reaction. A red light though from Ricard. So the V-Rod Destroyer rider, he'll get to the stripe first, but he doesn't get the win there. Brendan Sanders takes the win, 11.08 on a 10.98. Well, Danny Ricard, he red lights by the smallest amount, a cherry negative .021 on the tree. So we move from modified bike to their four-wheeled cousins in modified Eliminator, where the championship fight is very tight heading into the Nationals. And as we have a look at the points, thanks to High-Tech Oils, we see the ladies are dominating the top spots, with Jess Turner leading on 180, with Leanne Braggs only 10 points behind on 170. Craig Baker is in third, a further 20 points behind, followed by Zach Shepherd and Corey Dyson, equal on 140, with Grant Radcliffe, Gavin Chisnell and Shane Wynn rounding out the top 8, all on 100 points. Well, Craig Baker has got himself a solo into the final with his Chevy-powered Dragster. Now, modified, Aaron, very much like, I guess we spoke about Super Street being the entry level to sedan-based racing. Yep. These are the entry level to open-bodied cars.
Yeah, definitely. Modified's a great class. These things actually can be quite quick if you want to put a good car together. There's guys running in the high 6s and low 7s, pretty competitively at most races. And even in dial-your-own racing, there still is an advantage to being the faster car out there.
Well, Craig Baker is going to take the opportunity that he's presented with to run this thing down the strip and get a time. Now, of course, he still goes through to the final, but what he can do is check his dialing out. He's dialed in at 865. Hey, 0.02 off the light is a real good light. Drives it out the back door. How does he go? He runs 866 on that 865, exactly where he wants to be.
Yeah, that's pretty close. He doesn't really need to change a whole lot on that car. You might sharpen up a few little things, get it a little bit closer if he can, but he's got to be happy with that result.
Derek Wills now up against Matty Stone, both of the guys out of Victoria. Wills running the 23 Altered, and Matty Stone running the Dragster. So both these cars, of course, they run in the same category, being modified. And Aaron, you can have any size engine in them.
Yeah, there's no engine limits in modified at all, as far as I know. There might be some fuel restrictions, probably no nitromethane or anything crazy like that. But yeah, you can basically build whatever you want. Some guys run superchargers, some guys run nitrous. But the most competitive combination generally seems to be an aspirated small block or big block Chevy.
Well, both these cars packing plenty of cubes. 512 cubes of Chevrolet for Matty Stone, 420 for Derek Wills. Wills has got the favour as far as the reaction is concerned. Let's see how he goes through the deep end. It will be Wills. 804 on a 797. He'll take the win and be very, very happy about that outcome. Just having a look at our replay, and we see that Derek Wills gets that altered out very stoutly indeed. Unfortunately for Matty Stone, didn't get the run through to the final. Well, there's one more category to come here at the Australian Nationals in the semi-finals, and that is Super Sedan. And here are the points, thanks to High Tech Oils. Peter Zokas leads ahead of John Kapiris by just 20 points, but neither driver are here this weekend. So the leaderboard by the end of the day could see a significant shake-up. George Tipakidis currently sits in third place on 180 points. Absolutely beautiful 57 Chevy there in Super Sedan for Ned Karanovic. And it's a bit of a strange situation, Aaron, because we've got, for both of our semis, we've got solo passes.
Yeah, unfortunately this weekend, Jace, I don't think Calder Park's been friendly to quite a few people. If you look at a lot of our semis, we've had a lot of solo passes. That means there's a lot of broken cars back in the pits.
39 qualifiers here this weekend at the Australian Nationals. Ned qualified number 7. And here he is in the semi-finals. He will take an instant run straight through to the final. Question is, well, it looks like he's going to run it out the back door. That was my question. Is he going to drive it, or is he going to shut it down? But he will drive this thing. Checks the dial in of 910 out. How cool is that? 9106.
He has that car dialed in perfectly. He's not going to get it much closer than that. Occasionally you'll see the perfect run, but that's about as good as you're going to get to it.
Paddy Caruso now. Pat Caruso out of Taylor's Hill in Victoria in this beautifully prepped 400 cube Chev / Gemini. And we will also see another solo, which is just odd. Very unusual.
Yeah, Pat not testing his dial in there. He's obviously very confident for the final. He just stages the car, takes the green, he's backing it out.
Well, he'll back it out, and we will see them in the finals. Don't go anywhere, because after the break, we've got all the finals action coming up from the 51st Australian Nationals.
To some, it's just a hunk of metal. A convenience made to get you from point A to point B. Basic transportation, that's all. So who cares about horsepower, torque, compression ratios, and chrome Kragers? Yeah, we do too. Summit Racing Equipment, the world's speed shop. summitracing.com.
Welcome back to the action here at Calder Park Raceway from the 51st Australian Nationals. We've got finals coming our way now, and we're going to kick it off with Junior Dragster. That's where we're headed. We've got Jasmine Slammer taking on Jake Berrius. One from WA, one local car. But man, we know this is going to be a hard-fought battle.
Yeah, these guys fight as hard as anybody else, and you've got two very fast cars there. They're both A cars, like I said before, so this will be a great battle.
Well, Jasmine Slammer, she dials in with an 812 and an 811 dial-in on the side of the car for Jake Berrius. So it's going to be an absolute cracker where we will see next to no difference on the tree. They're going to have to leave pretty much like a heads-up situation.
Yeah, very much. They're both going to have to cut a good light here, and no one's waiting around for the green light to come because the other guys left early, so it should be a great matchup.
It certainly will be a great matchup. We are just waiting for both of these young drivers to bump it into stage. Once we're there, we will wait for the green and be away. Well, hopefully we'll wait for the green because otherwise they'll be out of racing immediately, and it's the finals. You've got to throw everything at them.
Yeah, these guys got to try as hard as they can. They're going to be trying to cut that tree down, get as close as they can to leaving when that green light comes.
Well, great to have the Summit Racing Equipment Junior Dragsters with us here this weekend. Oh, and would you believe Jake Berrius has thrown everything, including the kitchen sink, at the tree, and it's come up red. We will see Jasmine Slammer run on through 8-1, 8 on an 8-1-2. Just watching the replay there, Aaron, we see that Jake Berrius throws his hand up in disgust at the red light.
Yeah, I've seen that light a couple of times, and it is a horrible feeling. You hit the gas and you know it's all over from there.
Well, Jasmine Slammer will be celebrating. She takes the win.
I honestly didn't think I was going to get this far with Portland being cancelled and a couple other tracks being cancelled and not having a car in Perth for a while because it's been here. But it's been a good couple of runs today, so.
Well done to Jasmine Slammer. She takes home a gold Christmas tree and moves into second place behind Joel Burns, who is on the 300-point maximum. Kelly Donnelly sits in third, followed by Luke Versma and Daniel Carranza, all with thanks to High Tech Oils. Super Sedan final, we have got Pat Caruso taking on Ned Karanovic. Karanovic in the 57 Chev, that beautiful blue 57 on screen, and of course that is the Gemini of Pat Caruso. 400 cubes on board, a dial-in of 9.20 for Caruso, and for Karanovic in the 57, a dial-in of a 910.
Yeah, the Haddad name there on the scoop for Karanovic, that name's been in drag racing, especially in Melbourne for forever, as long as I can remember. One of the greatest engine builders Victoria, if not the country's ever seen.
Absolutely, one of the names that's synonymous, especially in the pro street scene. All right, so Caruso, he qualified himself number 8 in the Gemini. Karanovic qualified number 7 in the Chev. 062 reaction from Caruso. He gets a green but a red from Karanovic. He's got problems with that Chev.
Yeah, he's definitely had an issue on the start line there. Maybe his trans brake hasn't held or his line lock or something like that. He's hit the gas, the car's lurched forward. It's going to be a horrible drive home for Karanovic, that's for sure.
Well, Paddy Caruso, to round it out, he does take the win, 10.73 on a 9.20. Obviously has a rear view mirror in the car and could see that Ned had problems.
Yeah, he's left. He's seen the red, I think you'll find, at the bottom of the tree, and he was celebrating already before he got to the finish line, but good on him.
I know, it's like a dream come true, you know. I've been wishing to win a golden tree, and it's come, so patience and it comes, sort of thing, so I'm wrapped. I'm so wrapped. Yeah, we've, looks like we monitored with the, the air with the weather station and stuff like that. Yeah, we knew it was going to run slow, so we dialed in slow all day, sort of thing, and credit to the car and my crew. The car was so consistent, and it was just good to get a win, and a national win too.
A very happy Pat Caruso there, but the good news for Peter Zokas and John Kapiris is that the standing remains the same, holding on to the top 2 positions, with George Tipakides in 3rd and followed by Denny Bacella in 4th and Steve Hunt in 5th. Modified bike finals coming our way, and a modified bike of Gordon Crawford from Western Australia takes on the C modified bike of Brendan Saunders. And once again, that just comes down to the capacity size of the engine. 1300 cc's for Crawford, 600 for Sanders.
Yeah, well, luckily for Sanders, it's not about being the fastest bike out there. It's about running as close to your dial in and cutting a reaction time as good as you can.
Now, talking about being the fastest, Gordon Crawford used to be a nitro top fuel bike rider.
Yeah, he was on a Harley on a fuel bike. The speed and the handling capabilities of this bike compared to his nitro bike, this thing should be a walk in the park for him to ride.
Well, dials in with a 995 for the V-Rod Destroyer, and we see an 11.0 for the dial-in for Brendan Saunders, although he's throwing it all the way on the tree. We see this so often where they're really having a good hard crack. You can see that V-Rod coming around him in the deep end. But unfortunately, Saunders red lights and hands the win to Gordon Crawford. He goes 990 on a 995.
Yeah, well, Crawford broke out there, so that's that first or worst rule we spoke about earlier. Basically, the rule is the first person to foul is out of the race, or the worst. So the worst being a safety infraction or something like that. But the red light there, once again, a third final in a row decided on the start line.
Been a bit of a struggle the whole weekend, really, with the headwinds. Bit hard working out exactly what the dial-in's going to be. Thanks to Brendan on that one for red lighting, because I broke out chasing him. It was line ball right on the line. Also need to thank a few other people here as well as the other riders, particularly Shane Walker, and I'll be having a little talk to him about this later on, and he knows what I mean. And a few of the other guys that have helped me out, Danny Rickard, because I've travelled in the state, they've helped me with accommodation, a few repairs here and there, and they've really been great. So I've been lucky again.
The former Top Fuel motorcycle racer is a very happy man, and so he should be, because he leads the Modified Bike Championship on the 300-point maximum, followed closely by Matt Lyle in second, current champ Brian Finn in third, then Don't, Darrick, Rickard, Sanders and McGregor. Final of Super Street coming our way right now, and we've got Graham Cooper up against Chris Norton. I did say earlier, that Cooper has run and won plenty of races. It'd have to be, in the thousands.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be over 1,000 passes in that car for sure. If there was a favourite coming in this race based on experience, Graham Cooper should have this one.
Dial-in wise, Cooper in with a 10.50. He says that his car will run no quicker than that. And for Chris Norton, he dials in at a 10.99. Cortina versus that classic old bricklayer EH wagon. Wow, straps a whole shot and a half on, does Graham Cooper. An 017 to an 075. The bricklayer starts to come home, and I think he may have just got there. Yes, he does. 10.50, one on a 10.50. Aaron, it doesn't get any better than that.
That killer reaction time's won in that race again. The Cortina was very close, so really close to his reaction time. You'll see right at the end there, he jumps on the brakes to make sure he didn't break out, but possibly he got on a little bit too early.
Super close race as we have a look here as they cross the finish line.
It does. I have won this event before in other people's cars, but it's the first time I've done it in mine after 38 attempts, so I'm pretty pleased. We had a pretty good run. Being up in the far side of the field, you can pick the one lane all the time, and that makes a big difference. And yeah, we cut good lights, the car was consistent. Yeah, very happy with it.
Probably one of the most popular wins here at the Australian Nationals, Graham Cooper takes home another gold Christmas tree, but it is Chris Tatchell leading on 200 with Alan Hudson close behind and Anton Grigina moving into third place in the Super Street Championship. Super Gas about to come our way. Daryl Stephen takes on Adrian Magrotti. So, fixed index, Aaron, 990. Run any quicker? Out. All over.
Yeah, you break out, you're gone. It's all finished. Adrian Magrotti coming into this pass with a solo from the previous round, around 995 on that fixed index of 990. Daryl Stephen, though, coming into this with a 92 on a 990. So, at the moment, he's got the better combination in his car.
Well, Daryl Stephen is in fact as I say, he's the current champ. But he's not the fastest. Qualified number 5. The man beside him, Adrian Magrotti in that VP Commodore, was our top qualifier.
Yeah, in this class, so you look at the qualifying and it's very close. It's not about being the fastest, it's still about being as close to 990 as you can, and you'll get the top 10 cars within half a tenth of a second, so this is a fiercely contested bracket.
Let's check the tree. It's McGroddy. Favours McGroddy with an 0.33 to Daryl Stevens' 0.048. Now it comes down to who runs closest to that 990. Door handle to door handle. It will be Daryl Stevens. He gets there 991 on a 990 index. Beats the 993 from Adrian McGroddy.
Yeah, Daryl might not have been as sharp on the tree there, but he had his car a little bit better sorted out than McGroddy. Yeah, and he's going home with a very sought-after gold Christmas tree.
Well, Supergas Racing, it doesn't get any closer than this, and I'm sure Daryl Stevens will be stoked.
Yeah, terrific, especially when you're going to hear Calder as well. I think this is where the Nationals should be every year. But I'd just like to thank Summit, Andra, Fred Dudak, the Politos. Hopefully they're in good spirits after their little incident today. And all the rest of the Supergas races, they all raced very hard today. It was a tough race, and 990s left, right and centre, so it was a really tough day. So yeah, I just want to thank all those guys as well. Well, we struggled a little bit in qualifying with the headwind and obviously the hot weather. So we only qualified number 5. We wanted to do a little bit better than that, but we couldn't. So we had a tough first round against a good friend of mine from Adelaide, and managed to get through that. And then we really got the car on song after that, ran a 9901, and it was just plain sailing from there.
Daryl Stevens not only leaves Calder Park with the win, but also the lead in the Supergas Championship, followed closely by Graham Spencer on 180 points. From there, it's Griffin, McGroddy, Bull, Smith, Catanzariti and Romeo all rounding out the Hi-Tech Oils leaderboard. Craig Baker and Derek Wills will face off against each other here in the final of Modified Eliminator. Dragster versus Altered.
Craig will be trying to go back-to-back wins here. He won the last race here at the Roe Memorial event. See if he can back it up.
Have a look at the cubes though. Baker there, 283, just a really small little baby combo. Takes on the 420 cubes of Chevrolet for Derek Wills.
Yeah, I just did notice that on the sheet. If that really is 283 cubic inches, that's one hell of an engine. That car goes 860s, and it takes probably in the area of 750 to maybe 800 horsepower to run that in a Dragster.
Yeah, Aaron, the difference Dragster versus Altered, obviously wheelbase is the difference, but to drive, is there a different style?
An Altered's one thing I've never driven. I've driven a funny car, which is pretty much an Altered with a body on it. The Dragsters, you've got to be a lot slower reacting to the steering wheel. In the Altered, you've got to be a lot more aggressive. They get out of shape, you really got to pull on that wheel and pull it back. They're notorious for being a little bit wilder to drive, but in Modified, most of them just generally run straight down the middle.
Well, would you believe another final's decided on the tree? It's a red light from Derek Wills, giving Craig Baker that win you spoke of.
Yeah, one more time the final being decided on the start line again. These guys are really trying hard on the tree this weekend. It's not unusual to see a final or two decided like this, but nearly every final today has been decided on the start line.
Baker takes the win, 865 on an 865 dial-in.
I really can't believe it. We actually won one of these in 2012, but it was in Sydney, so to win in front of our home crowd here in Melbourne, in front of my family here on the hill, they're all out here helping. They've been fantastic all weekend crewing. To my other crew, the kids, Josh, Tim, they're always standing by my side. Audrey, she's ever supportive, my beautiful wife. The sponsors, Paul Rogers Performance Transmission, he's just done a freshen up on it. It was bulletproof all day. The engine, Wayne Cartley's Race Comp Motorsports, fantastic. To all our other competitors in Modified, it was a tough day for everyone given the heat over the weekend, so well done to everyone, however far you've gone. And also to all the officials. Look, it's been a pretty traumatic week for everyone. And look, I've got a newfound respect for all of the Andrew guys, for all the officials working down here from the bottom end to the start line. So well done to all you guys, and thanks very much to Summit for supporting us, the ongoing support.
It's back-to-back wins for Craig Baker in Modified Eliminator, and he now elevates himself into the lead ahead of the two ladies, Jess Turner and Leanne Braggs, with Corey Dyson in 4th, Zach Shepherd in 5th, then Stewart, Wills and Wynn rounding out the top 8. Top Sportsman Final coming our way with Darren Saliba from South Australia taking on Darren Nichelle out of Victoria. Pontiac versus Pontiac, both sides of the racetrack.
Yeah, two beautiful race cars here. I'm guessing both ex-pro stock cars. They'll be well set up, lots of runs on them, plenty of data. So these guys will be set up for the racetrack. They'll know how to get these things down the track and as consistently as possible.
Well, number 1 and number 2 qualifiers. Saliba was number 1, Nichelle was 2. And when we check out the power plants, both cars not shy under the bonnet.
Yeah, both, well, one over 600 cubic inches and one just under 600 cube. both these cars have probably got somewhere in the area of 1,000 to 1,300 horsepower. A real handful to drive, and but plenty fast at the same time.
Well, as I said, both being at the pointy end of the tree, they've worked their way through this top sportsman field here at the Australian Nationals, and they're about to do battle for the ultimate prize, the gold Christmas tree. Here at the Australian Nationals, that's what it's all about. And Saliba and Nichelle would like to take home not only that, but also certainly extend their points lead in the field. Waiting now on Saliba to move it in. Just bumps it in, moves through ever so slowly. Wants to make sure he doesn't deep stage this car. Have a look at the reactions. An 014 to an 024. Race on. Although Saliba just streaks away with it. He goes through 734 on a 729 and a 978 on a 745 for Darren Nichelle. Obviously something wrong with the car.
Yeah, killer lights from both guys. They're very much like a pro stock race, to be honest. The car in the right lane looks like it's struggling for traction a little bit, moving around, giving the win to Saliba quite easily.
Thanks to our mechanics, crew, everyone, family. Car just went well and great all day. Excellent. Yeah, thanks to Andra, crews, family, spectators. Yeah, excellent. So happy.
Congratulations to a very emotional Darren Saliba on the win as he edges closer to the top of the leaderboard in Top Sportsman. Jason Stairs and Matt Forbes sit equal first in the championship on the 300-point maximum. Behind Saliba sits Braggs, Russo, Carafa, Oliveri and Damiani. Well, this man right here, Justin Russell, he had a solo run into the final in this 67 Camaro. And Ryan Van Dyke took the win over our number one qualifier, Adam Murray. It's going to be a great battle, Dragster versus Sedan.
Yeah, that's what this class is all about. It's about fast, supercharged cars. Whether you're in a tin top or you're in a dragster or a funny car, an altered open car, you can run each other. It's great. It's a feeder class into the likes of Door Slammer and Top Alcohol. Really great place to start racing. That's where I started and I had a ball.
Now, Justin Russell, as we mentioned a little earlier, in this 67 Camaro, it's got an Oldsmobile 526 cubic inch motor. Ryan Van Dyke running the Chev, the 498 cubic inch big block Chevy. The difference, Aaron, obviously being an engine builder yourself, much difference between the Oldsmobile and Chev?
Nah, that whole deal there was a bit of a marketing ploy. An Oldsmobile basically it's a Chevy-based engine. It was a marketing ploy by GM. Can't remember exactly why they did it. It's been quite a while since that engine was brought out, but yeah, it's a big block Chevy.
Well, we know that we've got number 2 and number 3 in qualifying, about to go head-to-head here in the final for Supercharged Outlaws here at the 51st Australian Nationals. Looks like Russell's in. Van Dyke is now in as well. The reaction certainly favours Ryan Van Dyke, the better reaction of a 115, but the 67 Camaro drives around him, takes the win, 586 on a 578. Well, the team jumping around for elation, they certainly have earned that win. And we see the reaction there, but man, I'm just wondering whether, Van Dyke dropped a little off his dialing. He dialed that thing in with a 558 and ran 592. And the Sedan drives around him easily.
This is my first ever Christmas tree and it's a gold one, so I'm over the moon. We had a bit of bad luck last year. We wrecked the car, so we've debuted the new car and we come into this meeting, we're on top of the points and we thought we'll actually defend our points to try to not get too many at the championship meeting in Adelaide. So we just wanted some seat time and it all paid off.
After the Australian Nationals, the Supercharged Outlaw points look like this for High-Tech Oils. Justin Russell leads on 300, followed by Adam Murray, Doina Day, Mark Hunt, Jason Kiley, Mark Zouch, Alan Manhoff and Craig Gerdes. Final pass of the day for Super Comp. Eliminator coming our way now, and it's going to be Jamie Chasty taking on Darren Parker.
Another famous engine building name on the hood of Darren Parker's car there, Peter Ridgway. He has to be one of the most accomplished pro stock racers in Australia and one of the most accomplished small block-based engine builders this country's seen.
Yeah, absolutely. Ridgway, he was synonymous with racing right through the 80s, 90s, and even into the 21st century. Alrighty, so Chasty, he's over from WA, 337 cubes of LS engine on board the Commodore. And Darren Parker in that beautifully prepped Pontiac GXP, 400 cubes of small block Chev. Number 2 and number 7 qualifier respectively. Jamie Chasty, he was at the top with the number 2 spot, and Darren Parker qualified himself back in number 7.
Yeah, all bets are off now. These guys are going to run his car out the back as hard as they can. They don't care about trying to save their index anymore. They just want to get there first.
Reaction favours Jamie Chasty in the Commodore, but have a look at Darren Parker. He drives around him. It will be Chasty though, takes a win, 784 on an 804 index for the win.
Yeah, he had plenty left in the tank all this race, by the looks of it. He's gone 2/10 under his index, so great run by Jamie there.
Absolutely, and it's great to see a fresh new face, a young gun, take on one of the stalwarts, one of the long-time servers of the sport in Darren Parker, and get the win.
Yeah, it's a dream come true. You know, it's just a pretty intense day to race Darren the final there, and I just wanted to win it for my dad and all my family back home, and CNR Motorsport Developments A1. Sean for his help today, and yeah, great day.
Let's have a look at the leaderboards for both competition and Superstock. In competition, it's still Craig Geddes leading the competition ahead of David DeQueen in second, with Shane Baxter moving up into third, Mark Newman in fourth, and Nathan Coles in fifth. Meanwhile, in Superstock, Jamie Chasty jumps up from third position into the top spot on 270 points, followed by Kim Fidella in second on 210, Darren Parker in third on 195, Graham Sims in fourth, and Tom Dimitropoulos in fifth. Well, that's another Australian Nationals run and won. We've seen some fantastic performances throughout all of our categories. Congratulations to each of the winners, and Aaron, I'm sure you've enjoyed this weekend just as much as I have.
Sure have, Jason. It's been 2 great days of racing and what I consider to be the highlight of the Andrew calendar.
The next time we go racing, we will be at Perth Motorplex for the Golden State Nationals. 1 month later, we'll return to the Plex for the 46th Western Nationals. Details can be found on the Perth Motorplex website. Then just a week later, the Summit Racing Equipment Sportsman Series heads across to South Australia for the penultimate round at Steel City Raceway in Whyalla. For more information on that event, visit www.andra.com.au. On behalf of myself and my co-commentator Aaron Hambridge, we hope you've enjoyed all the action from the Summit Racing Equipment Sportsman Series here at Calder Park Raceway. We'll see you next time.
Don't go anywhere, because after the break we wind the clock back to last year's opening round of the CAMS Australian Endurance Championship. It's the Phillip Island 101.